So I think we should start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is Kamran Bilgrami. Welcome all panelists, hosts, moderators, and the audience. So today we are going to talk about business sustainability and job security around SMEs and startups in the country. I am representing Entrepreneurship and Management Excellence Center at Institute of Business Management, Karachi. And this session is hosted along with iwant.pk. I do not want to hold between you and the discussion. So I would like to ask Mr. Ahsan Jabbar to welcome all the panelists. Ahsan Jabbar, sir.
Thank you very much, Kamran. I am Ahsan Jabbar, founder and CEO of iwant.pk, which is a B2B platform where we are bringing Pakistani companies across nationwide so that they can trade with international companies. So anyone who's looking to buy anything from Pakistan, they can come onto iwant.pk, connect with companies and buy from Pakistan. So this is what we're doing at iwant.pk. And this webinar series, this is the fourth in our series of sessions, which we are conducting today. And we started these webinars post jab ye COVID situation create hui, and businesses started to get impacted. People started to get impacted. Every individual, I think, has been impacted somehow, mostly, unfortunately, negatively. And probably exceptions positively as well. Zoom, which we are conducting the meeting on the forum right now, probably is one of the biggest beneficiaries that we have seen come out of this COVID situation, and a few here or there. And this is what we're going to discuss with our esteemed panelists today as well, about how the COVID situation has taken them in their industries, in their businesses so far, and what are their future plans. I would like to welcome my distinguished panelist, Mr. Tariq Ikram Saab, sabse pehle. I welcome you to the webinar, and I am extremely grateful कि आपने time निकाला और अपने rich experience आप जो है वो हमारे साथ और हमारे audience के साथ जो है वो share करेंगे. And I'm sure we're going to get a lot of positives from what you have experienced so far, and what are your forecasts for the future based on how the current situation is. We have Mr. Moujood Ul Hassan. He's Global Director from Searle Pharma. Very welcome to you, sir, as well. Pharma, we believe, happens to be one of the positives coming out of the industry, but we're going to hear from you directly how it has impacted you and what opportunities has it brought for your industry. I would like to welcome Abid Vazir Sahab. He's Executive Director with Ghulam Faruque Group. I think one of the largest family-owned businesses in Pakistan, and doing extremely well. I haven't had much deep exposure with them, with the Ghulam Faruque Group, but from what I know of them, I think Ghulam Faruque Group is one of the best practicing organizations in Pakistan in terms of their corporate structure. One of the highly inspiring business groups who have come out over the last 4 or 5 decades, and Abid is going to shed some light on that as well. कि उनकी history क्या रही है और आगे future क्या है. Roger Bayat, he's an angel investor with startups. He's worked with venture capital, private equity, investing in startups in Pakistan, and he's now moving towards growing companies. So I welcome Roger, you as well. Of course, you are a critical person in how Pakistan is going to grow, and we're going to see what's your intake on the Pakistan landscape, about the ecosystem, how the startups are coming up, what encouragement you can give to the students who are listening to you, whether they should be taking up startups right now, or they should hold their plans right now. So we're going to get insights from you. And we have Talha Yasin joining us from the startup segment, and he's going to tell us about what his experience is so far as a startup. And of course, my distinguished moderators, they've been so supportive throughout this webinar series. I welcome Fariha Shah and Imran Khali, both of you. both have been really kind in showing support to these webinars. And I would like to hand over the session to you, both of you. And as usual, you've been conducting great sessions, and I look forward to another great session today as well. So over to you, Fariha and Imran. I'll just quickly brief. Fariha has been an IoBM graduate in '99 before she went for, started working with Philips Electrical, and then she, mashallah, moved to working with Pepsi, where she went on to taking up the marketing manager role for the MENA region. And Fariha has just recently moved back to Pakistan. Imran is a chartered accountant by qualification, and he's also the CEO of Float Securities, and which is a stock brokerage firm on PSX. And Imran is also a very recent ex-chairman of Pakistan UK Business Council. So I welcome both of you as well. And thank you for taking this session for today. And good luck with the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ahsan.
Thank you, Kamran and Ahsan, for bringing us together through this webinar, focusing on business sustainability and job security following the COVID-19 pandemic. Today's session is the fourth webinar of its kind, where through this platform provided by IoBM and iwant, we hear from different leading experts about their views on how their businesses are sustaining in this uncertain environment, and also where we ask them to share their learnings with the audience and also the way forward. We're also joined by 4 panelists today, along with a startup. But before I go to the panelists, can I ask my co-moderator, Fariha Shah, to please introduce herself?
Thank you, Imran. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I think Ahsan's done a good job of introducing both of us today. I just want to add that during the course of these webinars, as we've been carrying them out, we've come to a realization that there's no one industry or one aspect of business that has been impacted. It's entire ecosystems that are being impacted right now with the current situation that we're in. So we can't say that, oh, the textile industry has been hit or financial has been hit. When you talk about a certain industry, there are entire supply chains and logistics and people from all walks of life, starting from the directors all the way down to the front lines. And all of those people, all of those SCEs are all being impacted equally because of the uncertainty that this has brought. So I think one key learning is that the human race does not exist in isolation, no matter how much we would like to pretend that is the case, but it does not. And unless we all come together and find workable solutions to how we're going to move beyond this and how we're going to go back to conducting our life, our business, and just the simple act of living in this post-COVID reality is the key question, because there's been a paradigm shift. So the key objective of these webinars, which I'm grateful to Ahsan and Kamran for having brought us all together, is to learn from each other, learn the different aspects of the impact, and to come together and find solutions that we can then share out on a collective basis with the greater audience, so then they can all benefit from all the learnings that you guys would be able to share with us today. So without further ado, hand back to Imran and we'll kick this off.
Thank you, Fariha. So our webinar audience today can also engage and participate through the audience poll questions, which will be popping up on your screens during the session. The results of these polls will also be displayed upon completion. You may also use the chat option towards the bottom of the page to share your views during the webinar if you have them. We've also allocated 10 minutes for a startup segment, Civixa, where Talha Yasin will be sharing with us details of his venture. And then the last 20 minutes have been allocated for Q&As, where our audience can ask questions, but you don't have to wait until the end of the session. You can use the Q&A option to post your questions now, and then I will request one of the hosts to sum the questions up and highlight the prominent ones to the moderators so that they can be put up to the panelists. I want to start off with Mr. Moujood Ul Hassan Saab, who's Global Director for the Searle Company Limited. Moujood Saab has done many courses and certifications from renowned business schools and through many foreign trainers. Moujood Sahab, I want to start off with you. If you can tell us a little bit about Searle and what is the impact of COVID-19 on the pharmaceutical businesses of Pakistan?
Thank you, Imran. Assalamu alaikum, dear all. And I'm really very happy to be a part of this webinar as a panelist. Regarding the topic that the COVID impact on the economy is everybody knows very well that how it impacting the economy. Regarding the pharmaceutical, first let me introduce myself. I have almost 27-year or 28-year experience of pharmaceutical. 14-year I work in local, and from beginning of 2004 I am working as an export director in Gas Pharma, now in Searle. And from 2004, my always try is that we will make our Pakistan image well in different countries and establish our company and as well as country. Regarding the Searle is a part of IBL Group. IBL Group is one of the largest group of the Pakistan, and it has many businesses: IBL Distribution, Habit, Dunkin' Donuts, and many other multinational partners. And come to this, Searle is the 4th largest pharmaceutical company of Pakistan and also a member of stock exchange company. We are manufacturing almost 300 medicines, and we are also supplying to almost 30 countries. COVID impact on pharmaceutical also hit badly like the others, because as you know कि लॉकडाउन है, उसकी वजह से पेशेंट नहीं निकलते हॉस्पिटल में, पेशेंट को एंटरटेन नहीं किया जा रहा. फार्मास्यूटिकल इंडस्ट्री इन पाकिस्तान इज 3 ट्रिलियन रुपीस, 3 खरब की मार्केट is growing by 12%. But last 3 months, because new patients are not coming, the industry is going to be a negative growth. In the other hand, अगर हम ये देखें कि जी what is the opportunity for pharmaceutical, तो उसके लिए जो इस time opportunities है, which is you can also immediately produce like surgical gloves, surgical mask, and other things. So being an exporter, let me share with you how this COVID is impacting our pharmaceutical export. From Pakistan, as you know very well, we cannot go many big countries or developing countries. So our market is a third world or underdeveloped countries where we can export from Pakistan. So Searle is exporting our product from Pakistan to 12 to 13 countries, and 8 countries we already are in a registration form. This is a little bit introduction about the Searle how export. Now, as you know that most of the countries, like we are in Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, Kenya, Afghanistan, most of the countries depend on the tourism. Because of this COVID, tourism is almost finished. So we are also facing problem in these countries, how to increase our sale. Now, as a company, as a group, we have decided to do something about the COVID. So we, with the collaboration of Dr. Ataur Rahman, we have developed a surgical mask, which have some chemical we are putting in that surgical mask. And this surgical mask will protect each human being for 72 hours from any antimicrobial, either a virus or bacteria. This is under trial. Already we have done trial. Now we are going to market it in Pakistan, and after that we will export this gloves to the world with some clinical data, with some references. Even we requested Dr. Taruman if he can get a certificate from some European laboratory about this chemical and this. So I believe that with this we can bring up a good revenue. Similarly, if you see, we are also working on some herbal, because our technical director, he is double PhD in botany, zoology, and chemistry. So he developed some tea, herbal tea, which we are going to launch in Pakistan. Then maybe we will export, which is also having antiviral impact. It will increase the immunity against the virus. So we are hoping that with this, we also can increase our export of from Pakistan to the herbal tea. So this is, little bit things which we are going to be do to get the advantage of this. I don't say the advantage, I say that COVID की वजह से जो problems आ रही है, to market share, how to increase the market share, and how we can supply the things which are needed at the moment. Similarly, if you see, come to the pharmaceutical, the FDA has recommended one medicine which is called remdesivir, which is, I mean, at the moment only Bangladesh, 4 companies are producing and supplying to the world. Just sharing with you that last month, maybe you are aware that the Bangladesh reserve crossed to be $30 billion, which even last in April or May, their reserve were going down because of the other export. But because this medicine, they got the approval from the Bangladesh government and they are supplying. So we are partner of them, and we are also importing and giving at the cost to the patient. Now we got the approval from the government to produce this product. So we are going to produce this product, and then we will also export. Similarly, recent study come that is, I mean, recommended dexamethasone is also a very good drug for the COVID patient, which we are already manufacturing. Now we are investing to, I mean, double our capacity so that we can export this product also. I must say that COVID-19 also affecting very badly to the economy of the world. But in the same time, there is an opportunity if we will find that what it can be marketed at the moment, what can be exported to the community. There's a little bit pharmaceutical export and this thing. If I have a time, I can discuss with more about the pharmaceutical export and the opportunities we can see in the world. But it may not be related to COVID, but it is related with the economy of Pakistan. So if moderator allow me to speak on the pharmaceutical export, I can continue. Otherwise, on related to COVID, I just, I mean, explain how we are working as a Searle company from Pakistan. And on the other hand, also I inform you that we are the second largest company in Pakistan, not in export. We have more than 300 employees in different parts of the world, which we are controlling from Pakistan. We are helping them, we are training them, and we are selling our product through these 300 people, which are bringing every year 20% plus growth in our export.
Thank you, Mr. Hassan. I think you've shared a lot of insights about how pharma has been impacted. I think when we come back to you at the Q&A session, I would also like to touch more upon the local market and what are the plans for how you see that bouncing back post-COVID, because I'm sure the baseline is something that is also very dear to us as we come back from the current situation. So we will come back to you in the Q&A section. I'm now going to ask Imran to move on to our next panelist and continue the conversation there, and then we'll reconvene.
Thank you, Fariha. Our next panelist is Mr. Abid Vazir Saab. He's Executive Director, Ghulam Faruque Group. They have a number of companies, to name a few: Chirag Cement, Chirag Packaging, Unicol, Greaves Air Conditioning, and a few others. Abid Saab's focus will be more to talk about employee safety and the well-being. So Abid Saab, if I may ask you, कि आप लोग क्या कर रहे हैं to focus on the employee safety, और पहले तो ये बताएं कि ऐसे environment में and also the steps that you are taking to ensure employee safety and the well-being.
Thank you very much for having me here. It's a very distinguished panels. Tariq Saab is there, Bayat Saab is there. It's very nice to have them. Moujood Saab is there. Obviously, when we were listening to Moujood Saab, we were all very excited to hear that soon he's going to announce that we're going to be coming up with a vaccine also sometime next month, and we can go back to our normal lives, go back to our gyms and golf and everything, which unfortunately he didn't say that. But inshallah, very soon we'll get that announcement. I just want to, before I begin, I just want to mention that Tariq Saab is also he's taught me as well at the PICG, so I'm very honored to be speaking in front of him. So it's a real honor, and I was really very I was very happy when I was told that he's also going to be here. So thank you, Tariq Saab, once again. So I'm just going to speak, just give you a brief background of what we do and how we are coping with this current situation. As you mentioned, I've worked with Ghulam Faruque Group. It's an over 50-year-old group Our founder was Mr. Ghulam Faruque. He was also part of the Ayub Khan government. He was actually was responsible for the industrial revolution that we all talk about in the 60s. So he was the commerce minister at that time, was founding chairman of the PIDC, and a lot of other good things that happened in the country in those days. So the group is over 50 years old. Our flagship is Chirag Cement, which is a cement plant. Then we also have a packaging plant, Chirag Packaging, in which we do cement packaging, and we also do a lot of FMCG products, flexible packaging. We also have a sugar mill by the name of Mupukha Sugar. Then there's a distillery by the name of Unicorn, where we are exporting ethanol to all over the world. Then we have a few trading companies by the name of Greaves Pakistan and Greaves Air Conditioning. The reason why I'm mentioning all these companies is so that I can give you a well-rounded view as to what we are doing in each of these companies, because it's very important, because COVID hit each company differently and each company handled it in its own way. Fortunately for Chirag Cement, we were not really hit that bad. We were only moderately affected. There was closure of only a couple of days because we are situated in KPK. So we were not that badly hit. And somehow there was a demand also there that continued to come in. People continued to construct houses. The informal sector continued to work, especially in the northern area of the country. For packaging, obviously, that's the demand is driven from cement. So it was affected initially, but then it picked up. But we continue to supply flexible packaging material to the FMCG sector because that really continued during this lockdown period. Food companies were doing really, really well. All the other FMCG companies, pharmaceutical companies, they continue to do very well. A lot of tea was sold for sure. People were at home drinking a lot of tea. A lot of other packaging products were being sold. So we worked very well there. Sugar was not affected because sugar season had almost finished. So we were not affected. Our distillery, which is exporting ethanol, has started to do very well because demand for ethanol picked up because of the hand sanitizers and all these allied products because from it, the demand came from the pharmaceutical companies. So there we saw a lot of movement. And the trading companies, they face a small disruption because a lot of some of our material come from China. And even if it's coming from Europe, there was a closure of 3 to 4 months which disrupted our operations. But then we picked up from there. So coming to your question as to how we face the situation, we had a very quick, we put in a couple of things very quickly. Number one was disaster recovery and business management, business continuity. So we made sure that our businesses continue to run, whether we were working remotely, our sales teams were working remotely, our offices were initially shut for a couple of weeks at head office here in Karachi. Our factories continue to operate, but then we made sure that our systems continue to run, the companies continue to operate, because the last thing you need is the companies to shut down even when there is a demand there. So we made sure that our disaster recovery system kicked in. Our systems continue to operate. Our SAP system and other systems continue to run. Our banking systems continue to remain managed and operative. More importantly, we've paid a lot of emphasis on the employees' well-being and safety. Because at the end of the day, your employees, if they are not keeping well or if they get infected, the whole system is going to collapse. Companies comprise of people. If people are not there, the companies, no matter how good the infrastructure is, it's going to collapse. So we put in a lot of measures. We had the HSE systems being reviewed and implemented for COVID. We introduced the concept of social distancing. We made sure that there was systems are being followed. People are not interacting with each other like the way they normally used to do. Masks were being worn. Disinfectants were being used for areas other than the factory. For our offices, we made sure that only 30% of the employees were being called to the office. The rest continued to work from home. And even if those who were coming to office, we made sure that the backups were there. So not that one person fell ill, the critical person, a manager, falls ill, and next to him is its deputy, and the entire department then is gone. So we paid a lot of emphasis on making sure that systems continue to work. We created enough backups to make sure that the businesses continue to run. We also, obviously, this is something that cannot be avoided. COVID is here to stay. Apart from your company sites, your businesses, people do go back home. They interact amongst families. They travel together. So some of the people did get infected. But then we did this suspect tracing. We made sure people who came in contact with those people were isolated. Anybody showing signs of cold, flu, or any sneezing or something was asked to work from home. We did not penalize anybody. We made sure that people knew and are acting responsibly. So we gave them confidence that you're not going to be penalized if you work from home.
Abid, if I can jump in here to ask you a question about what you're talking about. So if you can just shed some light about the impact on your sales revenue currently, how you think you'll bounce back from that post-COVID, and the fact that you're taking all of these precautions now, how will it play out once the threat goes down a bit? Say, for example, when we hit September, what are the key changes to your organizational working structure that you feel are here to stay for the long term? Vis-a-vis what will just go back to how it was before. So I've heard you talk about how you're being more flexible in how people work, where they work. I know that extends a lot more to managerial positions than to frontliners. But if you could just give us in a nutshell how you see this playing out in the long run, say in the next immediate 2 to 3 years, because you're rightfully said this is not going anywhere. It's here to stay for a while until we come up with an effective enough defense or our immune systems adapt. So if you could just please touch upon that.
Yeah. In fact, even if we find a vaccine, I think our lifestyles are going to change. Things are not going to be back to the way they were before. So coming to us, we were very fortunate that few of our trading companies were affected. Otherwise, our all big manufacturing concerns were not affected, because we were well diversified. We were in areas where the demand was not affected. So we did well there, but obviously we continue to plan. We continue to work on our contingency plans or options. We developed vendors. We were getting material from one source. We developed more sources to not to be reliant on just one single supplier. And I think going forward, at the moment, well, we don't know, nobody knows whether we have hit the peak or not. According to the government, we have not. So the worst is yet to come. But so far, as far as our businesses are concerned, maybe because we are industrial products, they've not been affected too much. I think we've come out of pretty well, because we put the systems in place. We were quick in thinking on our feet. We had the disaster recovery plans. So the point I'm trying to make is that you need to have the disaster recovery plans in place. You need to have the business continuity plans in place. We talked about it previously. Till last year, it used to be a cliche. People used to talk about it, but now we have actually seen it. Nobody thought it's going to be so bad. Nobody had thought of this scenario, but we have learned. Talking about one of the trends that I can see is that we were previously, when we were expanding, we were always looking for more office space. I think this one thing that this thing has taught us is that one can easily work from home. So, real estate may take a hit.
Mixed emotions on that one.
Sorry?
There are mixed emotions on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think you don't need office space. You may not need to get more office space. You can
probably need a bigger house with more rooms eventually, because now you have the kids with online schooling, and like one person has one room and the other person has another room. But
yeah, I mean, of course, you need to equip your home well. I mean, so with that. So I mean, that's a trend. But one thing that stands out in all this is the digitization. Your systems, you need to have systems in place That is the key takeaway for us in all this. Your people and your systems should be there. Digitization is here to stay. People are
and the ability of organizations also to be
respond to
extremely flexible in terms of, I think the era of saying we need you in at 9 a.m. and out at 6 p.m. and it's kind of like we need to come around to the fact that you're paying for intellectual property and not physical presence, which should have been the case in the first place. But
you need to be more target oriented.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to be more target oriented. You cannot 9 to 5 thing may not be the thing of the future. But the important thing is that, like I said, digitization, people may not want to go out anymore and want to buy stuff. Maybe they just want to stay at home and order this thing. So it's very important that your financial systems are tuned to address that. You may have the best of platforms, but if your financial systems, PayPal and all those are not there, you may not have a very successful system in place. So you need to work on that.
Yeah, we actually covered that in our last webinar as well, when we had the discussion with Aisha. You remember, Imran? Brought up the fintech systems and the fact that PayPal is still not active in Pakistan.
Yeah, so you need to invest in people. You need to make sure you have backups in place. You need to have the digitization. You need to work on your systems, and you need to work on your risk management plans and take them a lot more seriously than we were taking before.
Thank you so much, Abid. That was a very valid point.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Imran, I think we're ready to move on. We have the poll results.
Yes. Kamran, can we display the poll results if we have them now? Otherwise, we can move on to the next panelist. So we asked the audience, have your salaries or jobs been impacted by COVID-19? And 83% have said no, which seems quite good considering the environment. So I'll be moving on to the next speaker, who comes from a completely different sector. He's an angel investor who invests in startups in Pakistan, UAE, and USA. He will be talking to us about investments in startups and the technology sector. Roger Bayat joins us. Roger, a very warm welcome to you. If you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your investments, and then also briefly touch base on what is the impact of COVID-19 on your investments?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and wonderful to be on this webinar session along with my fellow attendees and of course the panelists. So basically, I've been involved in private equity and VC for over 15 years, working in different capacities. And one of the areas where we have focused was basically physical assets and predominantly in the real estate sector. We then moved on to other sectors which were apparent in our.
Roger, can I ask you to speak a little bit louder so that the audience can hear you clearly?
Sure. Can you hear me now?
That's much better. Thank you.
All right. So having worked in the PE and VC sector, basically I came back to Pakistan in about six, 7 years ago. Primarily I was working in the Middle East, but our focus was always on Pakistan. And I started looking at the technology space, which was basically developing. And the more so on the entrepreneurial side of the technology space. Whilst it was quite robust and quite prominent in various other countries, Pakistan was beginning to take off, primarily because we've got a very strong youth population at the same time. So my focus was basically on startups and how do you focus, the idea was to sort of give due sort of diligence on startups, and they were basically on different sectors. They didn't have to be any particular sector, and these startups were basically disrupting within the sectors that they were looking at. And so we invested in a fintech which is a financial technology platform. We invested in recreation. So, that's an area that we feel that was very important. And subsequently, we went on to different aspects, investing in different aspects, different sectors. So there was healthcare, there was also education, edutech, there was also F&B and supply chain and so on and so forth. The role of an angel investor is basically, to not as strict as VCs could be or private equities could be when it comes to due diligence because of the negotiations and the valuations and so on and so forth. The angel investor was basically investing in people and giving them an opportunity to bring their idea to fruition. And I think this was very important to sort of really start, the interest for investments in the sector. So that's where we, when I say we, it was like myself and people similar to myself, where we've had quite a robust career. We came back to Pakistan to support that, and then however we could support, from in way of investment, or just being, or just sort of being on their boards, basically to give them the strategic direction that they should be going to, and of course scaling those entities into unicorns, which is a buzzword that was used. Basically, a unicorn is an idea that an entrepreneur sets up and creates $1 billion valuation, which we have had from Pakistan. Kareem being one of them, when Mudassir Sheikh basically set up about a mobility company and started Kareem and grew it to a 3.2 billion valuation, and of course sold it to Uber thereafter. There are similar unicorns that are coming out of Pakistan, inshallah. And I think that's where the excitement is really for entrepreneurship and startup. Technology is here. Technology is with us for the rest of our lives and rest of generations. So it's not going to change anything. We're going to have to sort of embrace it. We have to embrace it primarily because it's, like I said previously, it's an enabler and it's going to be a driver. And I feel that if we empower youth to be able to, take their ideas and of course, bring them to reality, I think Pakistan has a lot to offer, We heard, my esteemed Moujood Sahab previously mention that they worked with Dr. Atur Rahman. He's come out with presentations and papers that if we just focus on various aspects of technology, so whether it is artificial intelligence, IoT, the Internet of Things, and similar kind of opportunities within technology, we could be exporting about $100 billion worth of tech every year from Pakistan. Now that's fabulous. For me, that is the challenge that I set myself, and of course with my co-founders and people within the industry, that we need to sort of look at it from that perspective. And there are associations that are doing this in the sense that they are promoting technology within this. But I fear that there's a lot to go, and we really need to support it both from the federal level, as well as the provincial level, as well as the business level, and of course the community level. So I think it's going to stay, virus or no virus. Yes, this last 6 months has, brought about a pause in this world, which is very valid, to be honest with you. And it's even actually paused within investors. So VCs have also taken a pause and said, okay, wait a minute. We just can't throw money at trying to grow ventures. We've also actually tried to, try and now invest in companies that have the potential to grow and are cash positive and cash flow positive. And I think that's where there is going to be a major shift, especially with VCs and PEs coming forward, that they're now going to look at entities that are going to be looking at, how can they sustain themselves in crises like this, right? We've never, ever had a situation like this ever in our lifetimes. And I hope we don't in our lifetimes or in the future. But every single sector which is associated with this virus, so whether it's healthcare, whether it's education, whether it's, financial services and so on and so forth is going to be impacted. And we have to look at now how we're going to embrace technology to be able to better ourselves, going forward as a humanity.
So that's a great byproduct, that instead of just starting up new things all the time, we're actually now stopping and taking a look and saying, all right, we also need to make sure that people are able to sustain what has been started already. I think that's a great positive outcome, and that's a more efficient way of looking at how to leverage the current situation and come out of a positive on the other side. One key thing, Roger, that I would want you to touch upon is you're already strategizing where to channel your investments post-COVID. And does that mean that the current stock of startups that we have with us right now, are they going to be impacted because of the pandemic situation? Or you think the trend in the investment is going to pick up again once the fear of COVID has gone down and we have all embraced the change that is required?
Right, so excellent question, and very pertinent. So initially when the pandemic sort of became into a reality, because it was around since December, and we really didn't take stock of it till March. A lot of VCs and a lot of investors were all basically very they were very focused on future investments. Suddenly there was a pause, and it was quite a shock, because they went, wait a minute, our current portfolio of companies, what's going to happen to them? So they stopped all future investments that they were going to undertake. And they were going to say, okay, now let's focus on the portfolio of companies that we have currently, and let's sustain them through this pandemic, because it could last 6 months, 12 months, or 18 months. The idea was that, if it lasts 12 months, it was sustainable. One has to remember also that, venture capital is a long-term investment. When I say long-term, it's anywhere between 5, 7, or 10 years, depending on the firm. So sort of an unusual phenomena, which is this pandemic, right? It has been unusual. They take into these accounts this little blip that comes onto, and they bring it into their investment process. That, look, it's a challenge. We have to re-strategize. Yes, we may have made plans for the remaining part of the year, but let's sit down again and then reassess. Having said that, I know for a fact that a lot of VC firms with a lot of liquidity are now looking at future investments, because they've taken stock of what's happened, right? They've understood that this is going to be around, like Abid said, whether, with a vaccine or without a vaccine. We've got to sort of look at it from a perspective. And now they're looking at, okay, ventures that that would sort of, work within this environment. So when you say about health tech, when you talk about education tech, when you talk about fintech, these are the, but not, having said that, there are also a lot of other entities that are, quite pertinent from that perspective. So I feel that, in the next, perhaps in the next 3 months to 4 months, there is going to be new investments coming in. Into businesses. So there's definitely a positive for that. And I fear that a lot of VCs will, who haven't made investments, will look at companies that are already there, that have been impacted, and perhaps say, okay, let's prop these guys up, because it's a good time to come in, because valuations could be slightly more attractive today, and we then could be able to get in there and then, use this to be able to prop them up and basically, get them going again once thing normalizes. This is going to be a new norm. Yeah,
which is great, because people who are already vested and need additional support is probably the best way to go forward versus bringing in more people and more investments. I love the terminology, by the way, in your industry, angels and unicorns.
Well, there's a new
very colorful.
There's a new terminology called camel. So as we know, a camel is
not as exciting.
Not as exciting, but very pertinent. I'll tell you why. Because a camel basically can, no matter what the condition is, can always keep himself going.
Weather the storm,
and weathering storm, and it doesn't need water. It can, and I think that's where the shift is going to happen, where they're going to stop looking at unicorns and say, okay, grow, because a unicorn is basically a mythical figure. Or a camel is a real life, we understand what camels are, right? And they're sustainable. They can go along for long periods of time. And I think that's where the thinking has to change amongst decision makers and amongst boards and so on and so forth. And that's where Tariq Ikram Sahab has been extremely, extremely sort of relevant and useful, and especially some of the strategy sessions that I've attended. And that's where the impact was going to come from, basically taking stock of the situation and then, strategizing for a new horizon, a new future, inshallah.
Yeah, basic investing where you're most optimal and making sure that we make it a sustainable economy going forward. Thank you so much, Roger.
Absolutely.
We're going to come back to you at the end of the Q&A. Imran, we're good to move on with the poll.
We asked the audience, our poll number 2 was, has working from home impacted your productivity and efficiency? 88% have said positively, 13% have said negatively. So just moving on to our next panelist, one of the most experienced person we have, Tariq Ikram Sahab, Sitara-e-Imtiaz, former CEO of Reckitt Benckiser, also Minister of State for Government of Pakistan. He has also been heading TDAP, and also he has been serving on various boards like KE, PPL, Reckitt Benckiser, Egypt, Bangladesh, and HMB Bank, along with International Industries Limited. So that's quite a diversified portfolio, Tariq Sahab. A very warm welcome to you. I would like to start off with you by asking, अगर हमारे साथ थोड़ा सा अपना experience share करें कि how do you see exports की perspective से businesses पे क्या impact है, and where are the opportunities for us going forward? So over to you, Tariq Sahab.
Thank you very much. And may I just start by saying that I appreciate and am grateful to the organizers for giving me the opportunity to share a few thoughts. I won't dilly-dally with a lot of stuff that is already well known, and I'll get to the heart of the matter. You asked me to share some experience of exports. I could talk about that for about a couple of days, but I'll try and keep it down to a couple of minutes. Fundamentally, the exports of Pakistan have enormous potential. And I remember one of the speakers saying that a potential that cannot be exercised or can it be realized is not really a potential. I agree with that. Having said that, the reason for not being able to exercise the potential or realize the potential must be understood. And in Pakistan, it falls into a few fundamentals. Number one, the national importance that's given to exports as a savior is far from sufficient. And I remember in Egypt, I waited 4 hours to get 1 gallon of petrol when they realized that they didn't have enough foreign exchange because the remittances from Turkey of Egyptians had dried up for some reason. So the national importance is just not there, number one. Number two, that it has to be recognized that export is not the responsibility of one ministry or just the private sector. It is a national effort. For example, FBR must have its own export strategy. Industries must have its own export strategy. Commerce must have. The chambers must have, etc., etc. But all tied up to a single national export strategy. And unfortunately, that at the moment doesn't exist. I did produce one in year 2000 for General Musharraf, which was approved in June of 2000. And mashallah, from 7.8 billion, we went to 19 billion. So the second point was we don't have a strategy. The third thing is that in like any organization, if there is something which is very significant to be achieved, unless the chief executive's personal interest and command is behind it, it will not happen to the extent that it should, right? For example, Zarb-e-Azab had a national focus and the nation's chief of staff and the prime minister were behind it. So it happened, even though the world was saying it's impossible. So the third and the most important thing is that the prime minister must own exports. And last point is that if he owns exports, what does that mean? That means talking to the exporters regularly and asking them what they need, not what the Ministry of Commerce or Tariq Ikram in TDAP or the Ministry of Industries or Hafiz Pasha decide what the exporters need. Ask them what they need to increase exports by thousands of %. And then get the cabinet to ensure that what they need is delivered, and have accountability next month and find out whether that was delivered or not. Within 6 months, you will see a difference. So there are 5 or 6 factors because of which, and there's an ocean behind what I'm saying, but because of which the potential is not getting realized to the extent that it should. What we did from 7.8 billion to 19 billion, 147% increase. And non-traditional items there went up from 900 million to 2.4 billion. So there is proof that it can happen. Last point in terms of export and experience, let me tell you, as a fairly responsible person's exercise having been done, I've done an exercise myself. Pakistan's potential of exports on the basis of what we export today, not aspirations, what we export today, and that which we export at more than $500,000 per item per annum. The potential of all these items is $101.2 billion. 101.2 billion. Pharmaceutical we were talking about is 5.4 billion. Machinery is 11 billion. And people will be surprised. What the hell? We don't manufacture machinery. Just go and see what we are already exporting. Radiators, fenders, brake linings, and God knows what all. I've analyzed every HS code in this country, 5,300 HS codes. And that's why I'm saying seriously that our potential is there. But to realize this potential, those 4 factors that I mentioned. So that was in answer to your question regarding the experience of exports. I'm very passionate about it because I fundamentally feel that a country needs 2 things fundamentally: rupees and dollars. Without these 2, ना तो आपका कोई education हो सकती है, ना health system हो सकता है, कुछ नहीं, रुपए नहीं होंगे तो कुछ नहीं होगा, dollars नहीं होंगे तो आपकी import नहीं हो सकती. So in 2 fundamentals को पूरा करने से हो सकता है, and because we have the potential, so I feel very optimistic about the future of Pakistan, especially because we could achieve exports of 147% increase. So that means it's doable. Let me just move to the subject of today.
Tariq sir, I just have one question on this piece.
Yes.
So we are an agro-based economy quite heavily, and as far as I understand it, most of our exports relate to raw materials rather than finished goods. So I think that's one key point which I would like you to just give us a quick, your thoughts on. How do we move ourselves towards more finished good exports, because that's where the actual capital inflow lies. And secondly, while we are manufacturing a lot of things locally and becoming more and more self-sufficient, however, we still have a lot of raw material imports on the industrial side. So what can we do to reduce the load of raw material imports, possibly revitalizing the supply chain for things like steel and metal and small parts that relate to our technological side of things? If you could just please touch upon that.
It's difficult to touch upon a subject so intellectually complex.
Agreed. If you can just give us a nutshell of right now, and then I think we'll come back with you on another session for this.
Agri base of this is a paradigm. There are 5,326 products that are imported in the world. right?
Mhm.
Out of that, do you know what Pakistan, how many items Pakistan exports? In 2000, when I analyzed this, it was 1,700 and some items. And when I analyzed it only about 2 weeks ago, when Razak asked me to develop a strategy, I was so happy that 3,700 items we already export out of 5,300. In other words, out of the world import of $17 trillion, the items that we export enjoy a world demand of almost 81%. So we are nibbling at a lot of things. Of course, our market share is very low, but the fact is that some intelligent man has produced something that somebody in the world is willing to buy at his spec and at that price. And business, Fariha, as you know, as a marketing background person, somebody has to want your product and you've got to be able to supply it at the right price and the right quality, right? Fundamentals. So therefore, we have that potential. Now, the reason I say agri is a I wouldn't say a myth, but it is true because it's a big base. Because rice and textiles all go into agri-based product because it's a cotton-based product. So it's called agri-based. Otherwise, our agricultural produce is either rice, sugar, cotton, milk, etc. उसमें से सिर्फ मेजर जो आइटम्स है वो टेक्सटाइल और राइस है और कॉटन की एक्सपोर्ट है तो उसको हम कहते हैं कि जी एग्री बेस्ड. नाउ there is another reason why we say agri-based is our strength, because we have so much which we can, but we are not. So that's the answer to your first question. As far as raw materials are concerned, which we import, yes, we import a lot of raw material and machinery also. Fariha, dunya mein countries transit from a closed economy to a protectionist economy and then to an open environment, as it's called. Mm-hmm. Now, when you get into the open environment, then you don't really give a damn whether you are importing something and exporting. It's a free sort of economy. Now, the more you import, the more you can produce locally for local stuff and for exports as well. So I'm not too worried about the fact that we import some things, because at the end of the day, if the consumer or an industrialist in Pakistan can get something for 100 rupees from abroad, he should not be forced to buy it for 120 rupees in the interest of the local consumer and also for export from a locally produced product. He shouldn't be. Economics principle. Why should you force anybody to buy something more expensive just because you want? Now, the other side of the coin is the current feeling make in Pakistan. The more industry you have in Pakistan, the more jobs will you create, etc., etc. Fine. That we must try and do by ensuring that we industrialize as much as possible, as fast as possible, but not on the basis of subsidies. On the basis of internationally competitive market. Make ourselves competitive and then we go. I grant that to make ourselves competitive, there may be a window you need for 5 years, 10 years to be able to make sure that you become competitive. And you need to subsidize in that period, but not subsidies forever, because it's not sustainable in the world today where competition will kill you if you're not competitive. Okay.
No, that's agreed. And I think, Tariq, what you're saying about the economies being transitioning from protectionist to open, it's a valid point, considering where Pakistan is currently, how the rupee reacts to international markets, how our purchasing power suddenly disappears when things dilute. I think there's still a lot of protection that is required at a local level, but that's a much bigger discussion. Secondly, my only point as a marketeer and a person that's worked in different businesses is that when you have local supply chains, you very rightly said it provides local labor chances to grow, it provides local industries. And now because of COVID, we've seen the things that have happened when China suddenly shut down, and all of a sudden you had huge manufacturing concerns, you had huge pharmaceuticals, there were medicine deficits in countries like the United States, which had even masks being coming in from other places. So I think the world is kind of waking up to the fact that the more back-end integration we do, the more safety we provide ourselves in the future, where you just don't know when the next pandemic is going to come and hit us. Very valid points that we need to reach an open economy so everybody gets the best bang for their buck. But for third world economies like ours, still, I think we're in that transition phase where it may help us to, even at a smaller scale, look at back-end integration to just keep ourselves safe in the longer run from these volatile market forces. Thank you so much. I think we're going to just quickly take a few questions and read out the poll question, and then we're going to open up the floor for an open discussion with all the panelists.
Okay, okay.
Imran, over to you.
Thank you, Fariha. Tariq Saab, thank you for sharing your insights. Can I request Kamran to display the poll results for poll number 3, please? So we asked the audience, how long do you see businesses getting back to normal, especially considering we didn't hear about the vaccine from Moujood Saab. So people have said 92%, 92% have said 6 months.
Moujood Saab, everybody is going to stay at home for 6 months.
No, actually, you know, vaccine, obviously it needs a huge investment, R&D investment, and we don't have any company even Pakistan to do that. And there are 4 or 5, companies who are doing this, and vaccine will come maybe end of December. But the healthcare, the WHO and other people, what they are saying is, they are saying by December 2021, 75% people will be free from the corona, mean either they are positive and recover or they have vaccine. So, I mean, for 1.5 years, we have to live with the corona and the things is coming, improvement like new medicines like dexamethasone, these are coming. So it will help to reduce the mortality rate. So I hope that with this, the things will improve and normal activities will start. The second thing is I just want to add, as Mr. Tariq mentioned about the import and export potential of this thing. I just want to, discuss the pharmaceutical. If we see pharmaceutical, as I mentioned, 3 billion rupees ki market has just for Pakistan. And all the material API you are importing from different countries. And if you see, there are 50 molecules which are consist of more than 60% market, mean that 2 billion खरब रुपए का जो रॉ मटेरियल है 50 मॉलिक्यूल है. अगर वो गवर्नमेंट थोड़ा सा जो फार्मा इंडस्ट्री के लोग हैं उनके साथ बैठ के थोड़ा सा उनको जो है वो इंसेंटिव दे, उनको सिक्योरिटी दे, ये जो है मटेरियल वी कैन प्रोड्यूस व्हिच विल इंक्रीज द लेबर एंड अदर थिंग्स, जॉब वैकेंसी एज वेल एज help to reduce the import burden, and obviously in long term it will reduce the cost of the product, so we can increase our export. Number 2 is also, like Tariq mentioned, the government need a serious incentive to different industries, especially pharmaceutical. We have 800 companies registered, only 30 companies are doing export, and even out of 30, if you see 6 or 7 or maybe hardly 8 companies are seriously putting their efforts to improve the export. So there should be some, incentive from the government to increase the export. Like he mentioned, from 2000 to 2008, $8 million to $90 million, 10 times, more than 10 times export of pharmaceutical has increased. Now is a $250 million, 3 times increase in 12 years. So see that because of the government is not giving any incentive, the entrepreneur, the malikan, they are not interested to invest, because pharmaceutical is a business where you need a long investment. So first you have to invest 2.5 years. After that you are able to sell and export. For that, if the ministry and the government will seriously give support, so I believe that the number $5 billion which Mr. Tariq mentioned is achievable maybe in 10-year times.
'This is my comments about the export of pharmaceutical.
This is my, comment about the export of pharmaceutical.
'This is my comments about the export of pharmaceutical. 'This is my comments about the export of pharmaceutical. 'This is my comments about the export of pharmaceutical. 'This is my comments about the export of pharmaceutical. 'This is my comments about the export of pharmaceutical. 'This is my comments about the export of pharmaceutical. 'This is my comments about the export of pharmaceutical. 'This is my comments about the export of pharmaceutical. 'This is my comments about the export of pharmaceutical. 'This is my comments about the export of pharmaceutical. 'This is my comments about the export of pharmaceutical. 'This is my comments about the export of pharmaceutical. 'This is my comments about the export of pharmaceutical. 'This is my comments about the export of pharmaceutical. 'This is my comments about the export of pharmaceutical. 'This is my comments about the export of pharmaceutical. 'This is my comments
Can I request Kamran to display the results of poll number 4, please? So we asked the audience on what percentage of people think and expect a surge in business activities in the next couple of years. And you can see it's a one-sided result. All of us expect the business activity to surge in the next couple of years. I will just remind the audience that they have the Q&A option available for our panelists. So you can put your questions for our panelists. But while we do that, I understand we also have a startup with us, Talha Yasin, representing Civixa. So while you put your questions for the panelists, I would like to bring in Talha Yasin here so that he can tell us a little bit about what he's doing in his startup venture. And in the meantime, please do put in your questions so that we can put those forward to the panelists. So Talha, over to you.
Hello, thank you for the invitation. So basically, we are a technology company. We work in the niche of computer vision. We automate, we are B2B business and we automate different businesses. We train different models in order to automate. And then we also gather and label the data and everything for those specific models and companies. So this is basically what we are doing. And in terms of COVID, I would like to add that things have changed due to COVID, but for us, luckily, it didn't change that much because I have been always an advocate for work from home. So in 2017, I started working on a feasibility that we can automate all our team and then ask them to work from home. So then I worked with a company in Hong Kong. It was $1 million company. It wasn't a startup, but they raised Series B of a couple of $1 million, and they had a team of 23 people. And all those people were working remotely in different countries. So then I worked with them for like 7 to 8 months. We were providing consulting services to them. And then in the last year, मैंने पूरी feasibility के ऊपर काम करना शुरू किया कि मैं अपनी टीम को automate किस तरह से कर दूं कि फिर सब work from home अगर करना चाहें, जो employees work from home करना चाहें वो work from home कर लें, जो office में करना चाहें वो office में कर लें. Then और मैं फेब के अंदर सेंटियागो चिले भी आ रहा था. मेरे जो CEO हैं वो भी यहीं पे थे. तो जितनी C-suite के जो members थे वो पाकिस्तान में नहीं थे. तो फेब के अंदर हमने already work from home start कर दिया था. So till now it's going really good. उसके बहुत सारे I would say के positive impacts हमारे business के ऊपर आए. In terms of जब हम लोग hiring करते थे तो पहले अगर हमें developers, आप सबको पता है hire करना बहुत मुश्किल job है. पाकिस्तान में इतनी आराम से अच्छे डेवलपर्स आपको नहीं मिल रहे होते. तो एक तो ये है कि हमारे पास पे एक पूरा ओपन कैनवस आ गया कि हम पूरे पाकिस्तान से हायरिंग कर सकते हैं और आप लाहौर से, इस्लामाबाद से, डिफरेंट एरिया से डेवलपर हायर कर सकते हैं. प्लस उसका दूसरा इम्पैक्ट ये था कि लोग जब अपनी फैमिली से क्लोज हो जाते हैं, जब उनको ट्रैवल के ऊपर कराची की ट्रैफिक का सबको अंदाजा है, उसके ऊपर इतना टाइम अगर लगाना पड़ता है, अगर आप उसको कट डाउन कर दें तो मेंटल हेल्थ के ऊपर भी अच्छे इम्पैक्ट्स आते हैं. तो मेरे पास 2 डेवलपर्स थे. एक का ताल्लुक मियांवाली से था, वन वाज फ्रॉम जंग, पंजाब का कोई एरिया है. तो वो पाकिस्तान में पिछले 2-3 सालों से कराची के अंदर रह रहे थे. उनकी फैमिलीज वहाँ रहती हैं. हमने टीम को रिमोट किया, वो दोनों अपनी फैमिलीज के पास चले गए. अब वो घर से काम कर रहे होते हैं. सो आई थिंक वर्क फ्रॉम होम इज डूइंग रियली वेल फॉर अस. प्लस ऑन द बिजनेस साइड देयर हैज बीन सम इम्पैक्ट्स. लाइक हम लोग जो काम कर रहे थे, कुछ हमारे प्रोजेक्ट थे वो एफिलिएटेड थे गवर्नमेंट ऑफ अबू धाबी से. तो जब ये सारा पेंडेमिक और ये सब कुछ शुरू हुआ तो उनकी बहुत सारी चीजें जो थी वो बैक बर्नर के ऊपर चली गई. प्लस कंप्यूटर विजन और एआई जो है वो एक नई फील्ड है. तो इसके अंदर बहुत से रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट्स के ऊपर भी हम लोग काम कर रहे थे. तो एक इलेक्ट्रिक सप्लाई कंपनी सेंटियागो की जो है उसके साथ हम लोग एक रिसर्च का प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे थे, वो पॉज हो गया. इस तरह से कुछ प्रोजेक्ट पॉज हुए. सो आई थिंक के मिक्स अप चीजें हैं इस वक्त.
Can I ask a question, Tala?
जी जरूर.
There is a dream that I have. Hire 5,000 literate females from all over Pakistan sitting at home. They are graduates. Get them to do data entry and funnel their produce through yourself to market data entry, medical transcription, or God knows what not. you can do an immense amount of service.
Yeah, so बहुत interesting, it's a very interesting point. So basically जो हमारे तीन parts हैं, एक तो हम data gather करते हैं, then data को clean और label करते हैं, और फिर model train करते हैं. Model training is a highly technical job. मगर जहाँ हमें data gather करना होता है, तो उसके अंदर हम anyone who can read English, products के नाम पढ़ सकते हैं, हम उसको hire करते हैं. So basically
one laptop, one printer, and internet connection, and that's it. Sitting at home in the rural areas.
Exactly, this is what we are doing.
फिर घर बैठी होती.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. So basically हम लोग टारगेट भी ये कर रहे हैं कि हम उन लोगों को हायर करते हैं, क्योंकि पाकिस्तान में जो निचला तबका है अनफॉर्चुनेटली वो बाहर जाके काम नहीं कर सकता, जिन्होंने मैट्रिक किया हुआ है. तो हम लोग ज्यादातर फोकस उन खवातीन को करते हैं. अभी तक हमने 32 लोगों को ऑन बोर्ड किया है जो हमारे साथ ये डेटा लेबलिंग का काम कर रहा है. तो मोस्टली इसके अंदर हम लोग फीमेल्स को लेते हैं, और उनको लेते हैं जिन्होंने सिर्फ मैट्रिक तक जिनकी तालीम हो, क्योंकि उनको कोई और ऐसी जॉब नहीं मिलती जो वो कर सकें. So basically this is one of our focus कि हम females को hire करें और जो बिल्कुल related है हमको hire करें.
आप प्रोजेक्ट इसका बनाएं, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी और इमरान खान के पास मैं ले जाऊंगा.
जरूर, thank you.
Inshallah. Tala, thank you so much. This was, I mean, I have to commend you on your foresight in practicing working from home so far ahead of the curve of everybody else. And I think there's a lot that we can all learn from going forward, because while companies have been experimenting with it, no one has become truly comfortable. So I think one great positive outcome of COVID will be that everybody will now focus on the end objective of what the intellectual deliverable is that is required, rather than the physical effort or the physical presence of the human forces that we usually have in the workplace. I'm wishing you all the best with this venture that you put forward. Very proud to have such a great Pakistani venture going internationally. I think Tariq Saab is already ready to take you up to the next level, and Roger has already listened to it. So we have a bunch of people that will be calling you up after the session is over.
I just want to interject. I'm sorry, can you hear me? I just want to interject very quickly. So this is a prime example of, you know, a startup, you know, with a young talent force in-house based in Pakistan, that's looking at not only as a domestic opportunity, but international opportunity. And you'll find a lot of them out there, you know, seeking to sort of expand and better. Tariq Saab, this is specifically for you and also for the rest in their respective sectors. So there's a company which is going to launch next week. And the reason why I say this is that it focuses purely on exports. It's a Pakistani company, Pakistani founders that had to go abroad to sort of develop their product. It's a software product that basically takes information, so data and information that they have built using different sources globally. They've taken that data and they've come up with a product that, if you're a exporter sitting in Karachi, Mirpur Khas, Ramia Khan, wherever it may be, or an importer, and whatever product that you're selling or buying, you put this inside this platform. It'll tell you that which are the best markets to sell to according with the price, whatever product, because as you know, their HS products are, you mentioned earlier that there are many products with an HS code. Or, and tell you the markets that are best for your product to be sold. Or if you're importing, which are the best markets to import from, given the price sensitivities and so on and so forth. And I've been working with this company now for 2 years. They have successfully implemented and built this product. And they actually sold their product to the Saudi Export Board, the first one to buy it. And what they did was they actually changed the dynamics of business in the Saudi export because Saudi export vision was to go from a non-oil based, from oil-based to non-oil-based by 2030, and their exports to 50. So we're launching this in Pakistan next week on a global scale, especially with the Pakistan government. Pakistan entity. We're working with TDAP right now, and all this has been done very sort of quietly and. You know, we just want to get on with our business and so on and so forth. But this is the opportunity that I'm talking about. That's sitting on your, at home, on your laptop, you can trade. And that's what really is what we really need to do in Pakistan have the ability to use information and be able to use data to be able to, as you know, as you said, we have the potential to export, $101 billion worth of exports every year. And this is exactly what we're trying to do. And this is all homegrown. This is not, anybody from Silicon Valley or, wherever it is that they're developing and so on and so forth. This is what the ability is. This is what our people, Pakistanis, have in their minds. And Tada is a prime example of that. And inshallah, we'll be announcing this very soon. And we're going to offer this service free to any exporter, in Pakistan as well as globally, in the future till, December 2020. So, this is where I feel that the opportunity really needs to be, really needs to be to sort of take and grab with both hands and really.
Can I just make a quick response to that?
Sure.
Excellent. This would help exporters in being able to identify for their HS code, which are the potential markets and what he can do. I can give you that information right here now as well. Sure. For any HS code that you want, based on the spreadsheet that I have. However, there are 2 or 3 things that they may have taken care of or they could consider. One is, what is the basis on which you decide that this market is appropriate for you? There are a lot of algorithms which will define the importance of a market. It's not just the total value of their import of that HS code, number one. Number two, in Pakistan, unfortunately, हमारे जो HS codes की declaration है at the port level, it is left in the hands of clearing and forwarding agents rather than the exporter of the product. मैंने कई exporters से पूछा है कि आपके product का HS code क्या है? Trust me, they don't know. Because they think कि हम तो उसको कह देते हैं clearing forwarding agent को वो लगा देता है. And I found in many cases wrong HS codes being used. So that's a bit of a thing to be careful about when you're dealing with those HS codes. And the third thing is that once you know the market, that's the easy part.
Yes.
The difficult part is who in that market is importing the same product from elsewhere in the world, but not from Pakistan, provided Pakistan is already exporting that also. That is the difficult part to crunch, but maybe they've thought about it or they've done something about it.
Fortunately, we've thought all about what you've just.
Tariq sahab, हमारे पास दो questions आए हैं. First one is from Jamil Janjua on Facebook. वो कहते हैं कि please इसे explain करेंगे to what extent are the existing exporters responsible for not expanding their capacities and also for not hiring the relevant professionals that is hampering exports, number one. And secondly, Abrar Ahmed Saab wants to ask, what are the biggest bottlenecks for our exports? So agar in do questions pe please highlight apni insight share kare.
Okay, sorry, first question kya tha?
Ji, first question hai ki to what extent are existing exporters responsible for not expanding their capacities and also for not hiring the relevant professionals, जिसकी वजह से exports hampered हैं. And secondly, exports में क्या bottlenecks आप देखते हैं?
Okay, again, rather complex questions, but existing exporters not expanding their business, etc. वाली जो बात है. Because there are two approaches to business development, strategically speaking. One is what is called the intrinsic, the intensive approach, and the other is the extensive approach. Intensive approach क्या है? हमने सारी उम्र अपनी business के अंदर सीखा कि जिस product को आप जानते हैं, जिसकी technology आपके पास है, जिसकी market को आप समझते हैं, जिसके customers को समझते हैं, जिसकी supply chain को समझते हैं, उसके अंदर business बढ़ानी is much easier and less expensive and less risky. Extensive approach होती है जब आप नई चीजों में blue ocean strategy वाली बात जो है उसके अंदर जाने की कोशिश करते हैं। मेरा आर्गुमेंट हमेशा से ये है कि जो आदमी यार्न बना रहा है, हम उसको कहते हैं तुम वैल्यू ऐड करके गारमेंट्स पे जाओ, गारमेंट्स वाले को कहते हैं फैशन पे जाओ, या राइस को कहते हैं कि भाई तुम राइस फ्लेक्स में जाओ, वैल्यू एडेड, फाइन, वो करना चाहिए। मगर जो चीज वो कर रहे हैं, अगर तो वहां पे हमारा मार्केट शेयर 80% हो ना वो दुनिया की इंपोर्ट का, तो मैं कहूँ भाई अब कहीं और देखना चाहिए। हम तो वी आर एट द बॉटम ऑफ द सी, 0.02%, 1%, 0.5%, 2%। सो हम जो कर रहे हैं, अगर उसी में अपनी मार्केट शेयर को बढ़ा सकें तो इट विल बी मच इजियर एंड सो एंड सो फोर्थ। मेरा जो एक्सपोर्ट पोटेंशियल का कॉन्सेप्ट है $101 बिलियन का, वो बेस्ड इसी पे है कि आप फोकस करें उन चीजों पे जो आप ऑलरेडी बना रहे हैं। जो गारमेंट बना रहा है वो गारमेंट पे फोकस करे, जो यार्न बना रहा है वो यार्न पे, जो कॉटन बना रहा है वो कॉटन की, जो चीज आप बना रहे हैं। नाउ अगर ये सिचुएशन सामने रखते हैं तो हमारे एक्सपोर्टर्स को मैं ब्लेम नहीं करूंगा, बिकॉज दे वांट टू remain in their area of expertise, in their area of knowledge, in the low risk area, and because उनको वहां पे ही गुंजाइश काफी नजर आती है और मिलती है, so they are growing in that area. मगर there are some who have actually ventured into complete backward integration, forward integration, etc., which is also very good. And then there is a third group which is venturing into new items. देखिए ना, we were exporting only 1500 HS codes in year 2000. Today we are exporting 3700. So people have ventured into new things, na? Auto parts पे कहाँ पे, machinery पे कहाँ पे. So a lot of people have done it. इसमें सबसे बड़ा जो blame मैं करूँगा वो हमारी गवर्नमेंट को करूँगा. उसकी वजह क्या है? देखिए हमारे जो पाकिस्तानी एक्सपोर्टर्स हैं, let's face facts, ना उनके पास R&D है, ना उनके पास टेक्नोलॉजी वैसी है, ना उनके पास इतना पैसा है। जिस तरह मैं मल्टीनेशनल कंपनी में था, एक फोन करता था तो सिटी बैंक का चीफ एग्जीक्यूटिव मेरे दफ्तर आ जाता था, स्टैंडर्ड चार्टर्ड बैंक का आ जाता था। हमारा पाकिस्तानी बिजनेसमैन बेचारा एक एक महीना अपॉइंटमेंट लेने के लिए इंतजार करता है। सो वो उनके पास स्ट्रेंथ नहीं है इस वक्त। उसके बावजूद they are trying to hobnob with a lot of things. The reason why I say government is to be blamed is कि government का काम ये है कि वर्ल्ड सप्लाई चेन में पाकिस्तान के प्रोडक्ट्स की कंपेटिटिव एज या कंपैरेटिव एज आइडेंटिफाई करके उन एरियाज को फोकस करके और फिर उन चीजों के ऊपर फैसिलिटेट करे इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट को। आपको मैं ये कॉन्फिडेंस से कह सकता हूं कि हमारा बिजनेसमैन जो है ना, पाकिस्तानी बिजनेसमैन, जिसको मैं पहले समझता था कि बहुत ही कमजोर लोग हैं, हम मल्टीनेशनल में पता नहीं अल्लाह की देन है या क्या है, और ये पाकिस्तानी बिजनेसमैन तो ये है वो है, तो दे आर हाईली केपेबल एंड कॉम्पिटेंट एंड विलिंग टू टेक द रिस्क। उनके लिए 4, 10, 12 एरियाज फोकस करने और उन एरियाज में जो उनकी नीड्स है टू ग्रो एक्सपोनेंशियली, उनको वो सपोर्ट करें। तो फिर आप देखेंगे ये कहां से कहां दौड़। मैं आपको एक छोटी एग्जांपल देता हूं। मीट की एक्सपोर्ट $2 मिलियन की थी, $2 million in year 2000. By the time 2008 came, we were more than $80 million or so. फर्क कैसे आया? वही लोग थे, सिर्फ उनको जहां पे the shoe was pinching, which was the freight involved in getting their product from Pakistan to Saudi Arabia by reefer containers, उसमें हमने उनको 25% सब्सिडी दी और उनकी जो एबेटोर सेटअप करने के लिए जो फाइनेंशियल सपोर्ट थी वो दी। बस सिर्फ ये 2 चीजें की हैं। एंड फ्रॉम 2 मिलियन टू ऑलमोस्ट $80 million। फार्मास्यूटिकल्स में देख लें, जिस तरह अभी ये बता रहे थे कि 2000 में एक कंपनी नहीं थी जो एक्सपोर्ट करती थी। 2008 में देयर वर 14 कंपनीज एक्सपोर्टिंग। सन 2000 में एक कंपनी नहीं थी जिसका प्रोडक्ट रजिस्टर्ड था। सन 2008 में 84 products had been registered. Why? Because उस स्पेसिफिक एरियाज को गवर्नमेंट ने सपोर्ट किया और प्राइवेट सेक्टर फिर लेके दौड़ता है साथ। सो मैं प्राइवेट सेक्टर को ब्लेम इतना नहीं करूंगा। सिवाय इसके कि एक जगह है जहां पे मैं कहूँगा वो मैं अभी ऐड कर देता हूँ, but largely it is the government's responsibility to provide the focus and direction and then the support. जहां पे मैं इनको ब्लेम करता हूँ वो थोड़ा सा ये है कि इनके 2 नंबर के अकाउंट होते हैं. एक जमाने में जब मैं आज से 50 साल पहले, आप शायद पैदा भी नहीं हुए थे, उस वक्त मंत्रा ये था पाकिस्तानी बिजनेसमैन का कि काम वो करो जहाँ एक्साइज ड्यूटी सेल्स टैक्स हो, क्योंकि 2 ट्रक इवेट किए हुए सारे साल का प्रॉफिट निकल आता है. जब ऐसे हालात होते हैं तो प्रोफेशनल मैनेजमेंट कोई नहीं रख सकता, क्योंकि then you have to divulge the number 2 books. But now that the import duties have come down, etc., there's much more transparency. People are hiring professional management in large export groups. There is a lot of professional management that is already coming in. So I wouldn't blame the private sector except for this one area. I would mainly say the government's focus and the government's leadership is bad. सन 2000 में जब हमने strategy बनाई और leadership मुशर्रफ ने provide की, तो 7.8 बिलियन से 19 बिलियन पे गई कि नहीं गई? अगर ना गई होती और आज हम 8-10 बिलियन पे बैठे होते तो आपको अंदाजा लगाएं क्या हाल होता.
Thank you, Tariq Saab. Can I ask the other panelists to share just last words, because we are approaching our finishing time. So Abid Saab, Moujood Saab, and Roger, just last words from you, please. On the way forward.
Yeah. I just, this COVID thing, I just want to say that there's been a few positives also for the business industry that has come out of it. One of the biggest obstacle in the growth was the high interest rate. I mean, we could have had our arguments whether we were getting inflows because of the high interest rates, but the industry was really feeling the pinch. So interest rates have come down. So that's something that has come out good out of this COVID thing. It has come down before time. I don't think so anybody was expecting it to come down so soon by 525 basis point. But this is good. This will help the industry to face this scenario effectively. It should reduce the cost of production. It should help local industry. I'm sure exporters get the export refinancing there also. I think they may not have the direct impact, but this is something that is good that has come out of it. And I think this other facilities also that are offered by State Bank, we must appreciate those as well. So few things have come out good. We have realized that there's more to the way one can work. I mean, the non-traditional way is there, and it can work. We always used to look at it and always used to think about, like I mentioned earlier, about also the disaster recovery and all that. But these things do work out for you. Tariq Saab always in his lectures speak about risk management and business continuity plans and strategies, and those things. He's so right. I mean, now we can see all that he used to say is now making sense to us. We always used to talk about it, speak in theory, but now we've implemented those things, and those companies that have implemented them effectively have come out better and are going to do good in future as well. So few things have come out good also. So we should always look at the bright side also. It's not all is gloom and doom. Obviously, it's not for some of us, it's not a good situation, but for few of us, things have worked out also well also. I mean, there's some silver lining as well. So we should appreciate that as well.
Moujood sir, last words from you, please.
I just say कि जैसे तारिक साहब ने भी कहा कि हमें जो है वो हमारी गवर्नमेंट को सीरियसली जो है ना वो एक्सपोर्ट पे फोकस करना चाहिए, और उसके लिए इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि जो भी इंडस्ट्री एक्सपोर्ट कर रही है उसके लिए एक डेडिकेटेड टीम अंडर दी जो ट्रेड मिनिस्टर है या हमारी जो भी एक्सपोर्ट की मिनिस्ट्री है उसके अंदर होना चाहिए कि जी जो डेडिकेटेड टीम लाइक आई एम फार्मास्यूटिकल, सो फार्मास्यूटिकल के चैलेंज स्पोर्ट क्या चीज़ है लाइक अभी तारिक साहब ने कहा कि जी मोस्टली कंपनीज जो है वो 2 अकाउंट रखती हैं ये वो, मैं ये कहता हूँ कि I want to increase my export and for that I want to increase my team in different countries. But हमारा पाकिस्तान में अलाउ यह है टोटल एक्सपोर्ट का 14% आप रीइंबर्स कर सकते हैं फॉर मार्केटिंग, सेल, प्रोडक्ट रजिस्ट्रेशन, कंसल्टेशन. सो मैं अब जब भी टीम बढ़ाने का सोचता हूँ पहले मैं सोचता हूँ मुझे 14% में मिलेगा क्या जो मैं वहां पे अपने खर्चे पूरे कर सकता हूँ. तो ये चीज जो है ये रोक रही है मेरी सारी की सारी जो है ना वो एफर्ट्स को, मेरी अपॉर्चुनिटी को, सबको. जबकि जब तारिक साहब ने बात की 2004 से, चूंकि मैं एक्सपोर्ट में हूँ, उस टाइम रजिस्ट्रेशन कॉस्ट में गवर्नमेंट जो है वो सपोर्ट करती थी, मेडिकल रैप की सैलरी करती थी, ये सारी चीजों में गवर्नमेंट शेयर भी करती थी और एक ओपन था कि जो कंपनी फेयर एंड ट्रांसपेरेंट वो काम कर रही है, चीजें शो कर रही है, एक्सपोर्ट कर रही है, उसको होता है. तो मेरा ये है कि गवर्नमेंट को सीरियसली जो है अंडर दी ट्रेड मिनिस्ट्री जो भी एक्सपोर्ट के कंसर्न लोग हैं उनकी एक टीम बनानी चाहिए और इंस्टेड ऑफ कमिंग टीवी एंड इंटरव्यू और जस्टिफाइंग themselves and their economy, it's better that they will not come to the TV 6 months. They will sit with the major export industries और उनके जो challenges है उसको how they can support ये करना चाहिए ताकि हम लोग जो है वो प्रॉपर्ली एक्सपोर्ट कर सकें. लाइक जैसे मैंने कहा 2004 में मैंने गैस फार्मा में जब एक्सपोर्ट शुरू की जीरो थी, 2005 में हमने $1 मिलियन की और लास्ट ईयर दे क्लोज $40 मिलियन. इस कंपनी में मैंने जब 2014 के मिड में स्टार्ट किया तो $3 मिलियन से कम एक्सपोर्ट थी. दिस ईयर वी आर क्लोजिंग टू बी $13 मिलियन एंड नेक्स्ट ईयर वी आर प्लानिंग टू बी $60 मिलियन. बट आई बिलीव if I don't have cash flow issue, I can plan a $20 मिलियन एक्सपोर्ट. तो ये वो चीजें हैं जो मिनिस्ट्री लेवल पे बहुत जरूरी हैं. दूसरी चीजें, अगर एक्सपोर्ट चाहते हैं तो पूरी नेशन को हमें एक्सपोर्ट बनना पड़ेगा. हम फार्मास्यूटिकल रेगुलेटेड मतलब एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं, रेगुलेटेड प्रोडक्ट है, हमें एक एनओसी चाहिए. एनओसी एडीसी के पास जाता है, ही इज नॉट मेडिकल नॉट फार्मास्यूटिकल, बट उसको इतनी लंबी लिस्ट है, हर प्रोडक्ट के 10 पैक चाहिए, ये चाहिए, या तो वो दे दो या उसकी जगह एक कैश दे दो, देन यू विल गेट द एनओसी, राइट, विच इज ऑलरेडी. हम चूंकि एपीआई बाहर से ले रहे हैं, हम इंपोर्ट ड्यूटी दे रहे हैं, हम एक्सपोर्ट ड्यूटी दे रहे हैं, उसके बाद ये कर रहे हैं, तो हमारी कॉस्ट जो है वो कंपेयर टू इंडिया, बांग्लादेश एंड नेबरिंग कंट्री मलेशिया, इंडोनेशिया से बहुत हाई हो जाए. तो आई इन द एंड आई जस्ट रिक्वेस्ट विद दिस फोरम एंड इवन तारिक साहब अगर रजाक साहब पे हैं कि सीरियसली गवर्नमेंट को चाहिए कि वो जो एक्सपोर्टर्स हैं उनके साथ बैठे, उनके चैलेंजेस को समझें, उनको कोई हेल्प करें, सपोर्ट करें टू इंक्रीज द एक्सपोर्ट. थैंक यू.
Thank you, Moujood Saab. Roger, would you like to also share your thoughts on the way forward?
Yes, you know, in the startup sector, I would always encourage young entrepreneurs to continue to believe, to continue to come out and you know, believe in themselves and believe that their products and ideas. I would request the business community, you know, which we have very fine examples of over here to sort of you know, help them realize those things. You could have young entrepreneurs within your organizations, you know, who could come up with an idea could really be very beneficial and fruitful to yourself. So if you, Moujood sir, you work in the healthcare sector, right? So if you look at health tech as an opportunity, you know, have an in-house competition or something or the other from that perspective to be able to see some of your employees could be, you know, could come up with an idea that you could support and of course develop that. Even Abid, even within Ghulam Faruque group, you have multiple groups. Yeah, have something in-house that you could, a competition or a support or something or the other that'll help these young entrepreneurs, or even entrepreneurs, doesn't have to be young, they could be, you know, old entrepreneurs like myself, or at the same time. So I think that's important to see how technology is impacting, you know, within your industry and support that. There are various forums like the National Incubator, you know, national incubators, and you know, there's the Nest.io and so on and so forth, that they're harnessing and fostering entrepreneurship. You know, lend your expertise as well as your investments in that area. And I think you know, I think this Pakistan will have, you know, Pakistan has an abundance of potential. It just needs to be realized.
Thank you, Roger. I think I'll just summarize. Today's session was a huge learning experience for all of us involved. So where we end up with is there's still a very positive side to everything that's going on, and eventually the future is always bright. There's a lot of export potential that Pakistan has on both from local capability as well as the potential for meeting demand on an international level. And I think back-end integration is something that we also discussed that Moujood Sahab also brought up that can also help us really leverage our assets and bring in extra revenue. There's also a huge piece on the new ways of working and thinking post everything that we're going through right now, involving, I think a big focus will be on tech enablement and on fintech coming in and just helping us, making sure that we're optimally using our human resources, giving them all the tools that are necessary for them to be able to deliver on the end objective. And that we're also enabling our consumer base to be able to make their purchase decisions and transactions more effectively because of the new marketplace that has suddenly come out with everything being ordered online and people not wanting to go out and make physical transactions as well. But the key thing I think is that for us to keep our thinking caps on and keeping our hopes up and ensuring that as we come out on the other side, we do it in the most positive manner, working collaboratively across industries and with the government to make sure we all land on our feet at the end of the day, because we're one nation and we need to make sure that we all help each other as much as possible. So I think that's my key takeaway from all of the discussions that we've had today. So a big thank you to all of you for taking the time out. Me and Imran are going to hand back to Ahsan and Kamran now to wrap up the session. Ahsan, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Fariha, Imran, and all of my esteemed panelists. It was a great session. As a closing note, I would also like to bring in maybe for our next webinars. मैं थोड़ा सा इसको study करता हूँ because I am myself very passionate about taking Pakistan's exports and GDP to 4 times. So let's say if we're talking about $25 billion, we're talking about taking exports to $100 billion, or economy standing at $250 billion, taking it to $1 trillion. Our stock market standing at $50 billion and taking it to $100 billion. तो ये वाले जो हमारे goals हैं ना, ये achievable हैं very much. Countries like Indonesia and Vietnam and Egypt have done better. Malaysia have done better. मुझे एक problem नजर आई है कि पाकिस्तान, ईरान और अफगानिस्तान का जो region है ना, उसको globally जो है ना वो threat भी समझा जाता है कि अगर ये financially strong हो जाएंगे तो these nations might become a power threat to other nations within the region or maybe internationally, globally as well. आप देखें ईरान के ऊपर भी sanctions लगी हुई हैं, अफगानिस्तान is involved in its own war, पाकिस्तान directly और indirectly जो है वो war के अंदर busy है. जबकि on over the last 3-4 decades उसी time duration में कोरिया ने progress की है, जापान ने progress करी है, Malaysia ने, Taiwan ने, Vietnam ने, even so much so Sri Lanka has performed much better and Bangladesh as well. तो ये जो comparison है ना, ये हमें ज़रूर देखने की ज़रूरत है कि मैं ये समझता हूँ कि ये जो हमारी potential realize नहीं हो रहा है ना, उसमें एक major चीज़ ये है कि internationally हमें ये देखा जा रहा है कि अगर पाकिस्तान financially बहुत ज़्यादा strong हो जाएगा, तो पाकिस्तान might become a threat to other nations. और ये चीज़ जो है ना वो अगर हम अपनी मार्केटिंग के थ्रू इसको जो है वो तो तारिक साहब ने बात करी थी कि जब मुशर्रफ के दौर में हमने बड़ी अच्छी प्रोग्रेस करी थी ना, तो इंटरनेशनली मुशर्रफ को देखा जाता था इन एब्सोल्यूट पावर इन टर्म्स ऑफ आर्मी एज वेल एज दी गवर्नेंस. तो उनको पता था बाहर वालों को कि जी एक बंदा है जिससे हमें बात करनी है. और जब हमारे यहाँ पॉलिटिकल डेमोक्रेसी आ जाती है वापस, तो people, the countries internationally do not know who to talk to. IMF को, World Bank को, international countries को नहीं पता होता कि हम Prime Minister से बात करें, President से बात करें या Chief of Army Staff से बात करें. तो I think this is extremely important. This is my analysis of over the last 2 decades के पाकिस्तान क्यों नहीं जो है वो progress कर पा रहा है, जबकि दूसरी nations ने उसी duration में जो है वो progress करी है. And I think this is very important that Pakistani government and the army, the establishment needs to come and sit together and send out a proper signal to the entire world कि हमारे ये objectives हैं, हमें $1 trillion economy बनना है, हमें $100 billion export बनना है, हमें $100 billion अपनी stock market को लेके जाना है. We are not going to get involved into war. We are not going to become threats. We are not going to empower nations like North Korea or Iran with जो न्यूक्लियर कैपेबिलिटीज़ हैं हम उसको नहीं सपोर्ट करेंगे। जब हम अपना ये एक कलेक्टिव स्ट्रैटेजी बनाएंगे, सो आई डोंट थिंक पाकिस्तान का अगर हम 2040 विजन बनाते हैं to host Olympics or to do something major, we cannot do that. Of course, we can do that. It's just that we're not sending the right signal to the international community. And once we are able to do that, I think we are on way of doing everything. We will not require कि जी हमें exporters के साथ बैठने की ज़रूरत है और policies बनाने की ज़रूरत है. The entrepreneurs, the business people are going to find their ways out. It's just that at the national level, at the international level, we need to send out the right signal that we are not in for wars, we are in for the economic prosperity. And we will leave this note for our next webinar sessions, and we're going to bring in more people, and we're going to try to figure that out, that how we can actually take up that image of Pakistan internationally. So thank you very much to all my panelists, to all my moderators, and of course my startup. I am very hopeful, Talha, that you're going to do really well. And I look forward to Pakistani companies progressing locally as well as internationally. Thank you, everyone, and look forward to seeing you, inshallah, soon back.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Bye.
So,
Thank you.